Hey everybody, I'm Shai Reznik, and before we begin, just say that Angular Connect, this is a selfie I did from 2018. I really love this conference, and I really want us all to thank Eliran and Michael for reviving Angular Connect, so give them a big round of applause to them, to all the team, to Joanna, to Aiden, and all the rest of the team who helped doing it. Now, they approached me and they told me, Shai, please do like a funny talk in the end of the day, you know, and all. And I told them, I don't have time to prepare something special. And they said, no, you must do a funny talk. And I told them, I don't have time. And they said, no, they will insist. And I said, okay, so I did what everybody is doing these days. I went to ChatGPT, okay? And I asked it, okay, I have a talk to deliver, but I didn't have time to make it funny. Please provide me with the worst dead jokes in the history of mankind so I could make my talk even sadder. Okay? So you are going to suffer because of Eliran and Michael. So thank them. And let's begin. So the first dead joke is the following. Are you ready? I used to hate facial hair, but then it grew on me. Don't laugh. Yeah. Okay, so I'm Shai Reznik, and there's supposed to be sound. Can you hear my sound? Did I plug the correct thing? Okay, no. Zoom? Okay. I'm Shai. This is my Twitter, X, whatever you want to, okay? I'm a GDE for Angular from 2016. I also I lead the core team for a framework called Quick. And I also run HighRes.io, which is a consulting and training company where we make web development fun and efficient. And we focus on testing, architecture, performance. This is an illustration of me consulting to one of the companies, okay? And also, I try to, be more illustrative. So this is usually how it, looks like when you hire me. Okay. So this is my marketing. Oh, awesome. Okay. So I was known as the Angular testing guy, and people came up to me and told me like, testing? Why the hell are you investing your time in testing? It's a boring topic. Why so serious? Like, do more fun things. And I thought it's important to talk about like where I started with testing, because I think it's feelings that we all feel. So back in 2009, I was working full time while having a side project, a startup I was working on. So I was working 20 hours a day for like 2 years straight without vacations. I had deadlines that I needed to meet, and lots of craziness. And and it's not working. Okay, so I had lots of stress, and every time I was working on Flash. Everybody know Flash? Yeah, worked on. Okay, so this is like actual screenshot. Okay, so every time I added like a feature or I fixed something, I added more and more bugs and more features and more bugs and all that stuff. And it felt like this. It felt like I'm keep like chasing after bugs. I fix one, I create 4 more. And one day I was walking up the stairs in the office building, and all of a sudden I felt dizzy and sat down, and I was like having like sweat. And I didn't know what's happening. I felt like I have a heart attack. I don't know, like something was wrong. And my boss sent me to the hospital. I had like dizziness and stuff like that. So I went to the hospital and they did checks. I didn't find anything wrong physically, but they told me like, maybe you have panic attacks. And I was like, what is a panic attack? So they explained me like all the symptoms that I had. And I said, oh, that's what I had. And so all the stress of like, trying to keep up with the deadlines and sprints and all that stuff, and the startup was taking a toll on my health. So I said like, I need to change something. And I started talking with, friends from work. And one of the friends was a backend engineer working on Java. And he asked me like, why don't you write tests? It will save you the time of manually checking and verifying what you already did and stuff. So I said, okay. So that got me into unit tests. And I started learning, okay, unit tests. And at the beginning, it was hard. I didn't know what the hell I'm doing. And after a while, like, it took me, and I got better at it. And I got even to 100% code coverage. Yeah, which I thought is important. Okay. But then one day, I had the confidence, okay, we have tests. And I got a call in 1 a.m., okay? Hey, production is down. Go and fix it. So I left everything and went to the laptop and started fixing production, live on the server with users and stuff like that. And I then did a retrospect and tried to think, why the hell did it happen? We had 100% coverage. How did it happen? And then I realized, okay, it's not enough, right? You have 100% coverage, but you still have missing stuff like integration state tests and end-to-end tests and stuff like that. So then I started writing those kind of tests. But this is me waiting for the test to finish. And also they are much more complex. So it created loads and loads of other problems. So now it felt like I'm switching from bugs to tests. Like I'm running, chasing after tests. Whoever felt this feeling before? Yeah, okay. So I got frustrated. This is me frustrated. Okay. So the conclusion I got to was that we need a new approach. This can't go on. Something needs to change. So because the fear and stress that I felt that, and I felt the frustration, and I realized, okay, the fear and stress comes from unexpected bugs. I don't know when it will come, and when will I need to stop what I'm working on and shift. And the frustration came from inefficient tests, right? Okay, something is not efficient here. So the solution was, okay, more confidence in our tests and more testing efficiency, right? Captain Obvious here, but in testing, nothing is ever black or white. It's always about trade-offs and aspirations. We aspire to have 100% coverage, but it doesn't matter if it doesn't cover the right thing, and it's not feasible. It's lower the efficiency. So we have, on one hand, confidence, on the other hand, efficiency, and I learned that strategies, tools, and techniques, different things, have different levels of efficiency and confidence. Sometimes you have high efficiency and low confidence overall, and sometimes the other way around, end-to-end tests. You have lots of confidence, but low efficiency. So the idea is to find the balance between them and to find something more cost-effective. And then I thought, cost-effective, I'll change it to test-effective. And yeah, this is the plan. So I came up with test-effective development. This is the system that I judge every tools, technique, strategy, tactic, everything under these lenses of what's the balance, what's the right balance here. So more effective terms, tools, techniques. So we could go from sleeping like this to sleeping like this. Or as I like to say, test right, sleep tight. Okay, awesome. I have a t-shirt. Okay. So then I started helping companies like I showed you and started teaching. And I started focusing on how can I reduce the waste that we are experiencing every sprint. And I got some, clients to go in reducing their waste by 20%. Think about a big company reducing 20% of the waste for each developer, how much time and money it saves for the company. All right. Okay. So another dad joke. Why don't oysters donate to a charity? Because they're shellfish. Yeah, you see? Funny jokes. Okay. Okay, so test effective development. Effective. What is effective? Effective is doing the right things compared to efficient, which is doing things right. Right? You can focus on doing something very right, but it's not the right thing, which misses the point. Okay? So you might ask yourself, what are you talking about, Shai? We live in an AI era. Right? Why do we need all this stuff? We just, AI is your friend, right? Okay? So let me give you a consultant answer. It depends, okay? Trade-off. We have things like cursor rules, which are a great thing. You can, tweak the AI or cursor to be more to your needs and to learn from mistakes and all that stuff, which is great. And as Alex mentioned in the keynote, we have Playwright MCP that actually can see the actual served browser and could figure out the DOM in runtime and make decisions based on that, which is also awesome. But AI is like a sandworm, okay? If you don't learn how to ride it and navigate, right, it comes back to haunt you, okay? And so it's a powerful tool, but can lead to, too many bullshit tests that don't check meaningful things and break often, okay, if it's not directed to the right place. And worse, it gives you a false sense of confidence, okay? Okay, great, I generated like 100 tests, but, this is not helping me because I still have bugs in production. So we need knowledge, and we need it first, before the AI, okay? So if effective is doing the right things, with generative AI, we need to instruct it to do the right things. We need to tell it what to do, right? And also we need to supervise afterwards, because nobody is like, okay, well, not nobody, like most of us are YOLO, okay, but we need to supervise that it's actually doing the right things in production, or else we get the call in 1 a.m. like, okay, let's save production. So we need knowledge. So this talk is about this knowledge. It's about the what, not the how, because we don't have time, don't have a lot of time, and that's another thing they kept telling me, like, don't go over time. I will go over time, okay? So based on this is based on my research, okay, for working with big Angular projects, and I will share like the conclusion. But the main three things that I research are what's the right strategy, and I will talk about what is the strategy. Basically, it's the map where we want to go, the tools and the tactics, like how you use the tools. But in this talk, we talk about the strategy and the tools. So AI is one of those tools, right? But we need to teach it a strategy. What is a strategy? A strategy is allocating limited resource against unlimited options, okay? We have unlimited options. We can write this kind of tests and this kind of combinations and mocking this and not mocking this and all this stuff. But what is the right combination? So in terms of test-effective strategy, the question to ask is which test right? Like, what are those combination of tests? Should we write unit, integration, end-to-end? How many of those? And compare. It's like overloaded terms. Like you ask one person, like this guy on the phone, hey, what is a unit test for you? Don't answer. It's a long answer. Okay, we don't have the time, but thank you for participating. It's one function, or somebody is like a component. It's like confusing, right? But what I learned is, like, if you want to be more effective, you need to be more specific. You need to really, really get it down to more specific terms. So I took like the first principle thinking approach and deconstructed everything and to its like parts and reassembled it into like new type of tests with new like definitions of what it means. So I will share just the research conclusion. I don't have time to go into like what went into this research, but first, I need to make it funny. Why don't bachelors like Git? Because they are afraid to commit. Don't laugh. It's lousy. Okay. You know what? Let's do a fake laugh, just so they will be happy, okay? 1, 2, 3. Great, okay, keep it up. See, Eliran, it's working. Okay, so let me share the conclusion. There are 4 test types that is the more effective combination. And again, I'm always evolving, the research based on the findings, but mainly there are smoke tests, unit tests, UI component tests, and contract tests. And I'll go over briefly the definitions of them so we'll be on the same page. So we have the browser and the app, and we have the server and a database, okay? And this is, like, for example, if we test from one end to the other, it's an end-to-end test, A to E, okay? So smoke test, the definition is an end-to-end test, few of them, not a lot, very few, which test only the critical path of your app, okay? This is the right combination of, like, we're getting the confidence, but we don't pay a lot for the efficiency, okay? So these are few and critical. This is critical. Fake laughter? Okay, see, they are laughing. Okay, so smoke test. This is smoke test. Okay. Next type of test, unit test. Okay. Unit test. You said app. So if I take an app, usually, like roughly, we can divide it into the DOM, the logic, and the data access layer, right? Like a term from the Java age. But basically, it's all the remote services that talk with your API, right? So if you take the middle part, the logic, and take each part, this is a function, right? So if we take this function and isolate it, we have a unit test. And this is the definition of a unit test. And write few of those just for like complicated functions that have like algorithms or whatever. But that's it, okay? Don't go over than that if you don't need to, okay? So pretty easy, unit test. That's the definition. Function. Okay, then we have the DOM. If we split it, guess what? This is a component, right? All the elements, they're usually wrapped with the component. Let's take a combo box, a reusable component. Okay, if we put it in the website or the browser, and it's isolated already, we have a UI component test. Easy. This is easy, right? Like just loading a reusable component that is not attached to anything. But what if we have a login form or a feature, right, that needs lots of data and services and all that stuff? Now it needs, again, the logic and the data access layer and the server and the database and all that crap, okay? So then we end up with an end-to-end test, which is not good, okay? Because then we lower the efficiency. So what can we do? So instead, this is based, again, on the research. Instead of working with the real server and the real database, we can work with a fake server and a fake database that implements the same, basically, API. Now, a lot of people fake their endpoints, but not a lot of people are using fake databases, okay, which is a key part in making the test more efficient, okay? So now we end up with like an end to fake end, not an end to end. And that makes our test more confident building, okay? We get more confidence that all the parts in our app work together, but we don't pay the price of like working with the real server. And this is, again, another form of UI component test, okay? So UI component test. Now, the last type of test, contract test, if we take only the data access layer, and we have the real server and fake server, something needs to give us the confidence that we're not just inventing stuff on the fake server and get 100% coverage, but the server people just change stuff and it won't work in production, right? That's why we have end-to-end tests, but they are not efficient. So we need a test that matches or tests that they are matching, like the same implementation. So that's a contract test. So the technique here is running the same test twice, once on the real server and once on the fake server, and that gives you the confidence that, okay, if something breaks, you will know about it. Okay, so this is contract tests. Okay. I used to play piano by ear, but now I use my hands. Yeah. Oh, we have one clap. Okay, awesome. Okay. That was which type of test or the strategy that we want to use in our app to get like the more test-effective way. Okay, so for tools, again, just sharing the conclusion of the research. For smoke tests, it's pretty easy. Use Playwright, you can't go wrong. End-to-end test, great tool. Unit test, can't go wrong with Vitest, great tool, super fast. For contract tests, the same Vitest, okay? Pretty easy. For all the fake database and server and stuff like that, you can use mock service worker, okay? If you cannot do it because you're using, I don't know, like, what? No? Don't mind me, I'm just giving a talk, okay. So it's another stunt that Michael and Liran. Did you know that in Poland they saw that my WhatsApp is opened? It was you, Michael? Okay, so Michael saw, so he sent me like images and blocked my internet connection, okay, and I couldn't run the demo. Thank you. This is a payback. Okay, so if you cannot use mock service workers for some reason, if you use like a different, like not a REST API and stuff like that, you could you're using Angular, you have dependency injection, you can just replace the remote services with a different dependency injected fake remote service. And that solves the issue. Okay, so these are the tools, but for UI component tests, it gets more complicated for Angular, specifically because it has like a more complex setup. But the four main tools that lets us run the components in the browser are Playwright, component testing, specifically, Vitest browser mode, Storybook play functions, and Cypress component testing. Now, don't have time, okay, to go into the reason, but during my research, I ended up with two options, Playwright, Vitest, browser mode. I needed to choose, so the problem is that everything is still experimental, okay? So it makes it hard to like make a sure bet, okay, this is the way to go. So on the Playwright side, component testing, we have the JS Cutlery plugin by the great Younes Jaidi, okay? Shout out to Younes if he's watching. So he created an integration with Angular, works great, and it relies on another plugin by Brandon Roberts, Analog, if you know the meta framework for Angular. So along the way, he created also a Vit plugin for Angular and Vitest plugin, which is great. Without, okay, so shout out to Brandon Roberts, give him a big round of applause. Without him, we wouldn't be able to access like all of this and Storybook and all that stuff. So his Vit plugin, 5 minutes? Yeah. Okay, good luck. So I started, it started after. You saw, you are my witness. Okay. So, so these are more like, you know, the infrastructure and such. So I ended up like, okay, what do I choose? Where do I go with? And after like more research, one thing that made me like question, okay, if I go to Playwright direction, is there, you know, they're closed like a long, you know, a standing PR that was there for a while, and with like, you know, unclear direction of where they want to go with component testing in general. So it was like hard to make a sure bet, okay, this is like the way to go, although the debugging experience in Playwright is amazing. We do have an alternative in the works by, again, Younes Jaidi and Rainer, who gave a workshop here. You're here, Rainer? No, we will see it at home. Okay, shout out to Rainer. Okay, so they're working on a tool called Testronaut, which is, you know, I don't know when it will be ready. It might be, you know, it's a community project, so it might be next year. But this is a potential alternative to the, you know, that doesn't require Playwright intervention or component testing. So I was left with Vitest, okay, browser mode, which is great on one thing, but missing other features like, you know, the debugging experience that Playwright has. Although I think I found a way to do it. So again, it requires the Vit plugin, but something else was still missing other than the debugging experience. It was also missing an integration with Angular. So this week, I released a package called Vitest Browser Angular, which you can, you know, check it out here. It's pretty new, so Google even didn't index it, okay? And it's still very early, okay? So it just gives you like a basic tool to mount your Angular component on Vitest Browser mode and, you know, test. Okay, another one, okay. Why did the computer show up to work late? It had a hard drive. Matthew is like cracking. Okay, it's supposed to be bad jokes. Okay, okay, demo time. Yay! Don't have time for a big demo. Okay, I have Zoom. Who wants to yell? Who wants to yell Zoom? Zoom, Zoom. Okay, okay, Zoom, Zoom. Okay, so you know, this is the not important part, like you say, right? So this is I let for a whole weekend not serve start. Okay, So for an entire weekend, I let Cursor build for me like a big complex. He said, do you want this type of app or this type of app? And I just said yes. So he just generated everything, okay? Like a big monorepo with lots of features. And basically, it's, let's see if it's working. Yeah, but what the hell is... Okay, awesome. So you can see it's the Dangerous Career Showcase. It's like the dumbest jobs ever. So if you go, you have a tsunami whisperer, you have a high voltage kite flyer, ceiling fan blade painter while it's working. You have quicksand QA. You have cliffside billboard installer. Lightsaber polisher, this is a good one. Beard model, I didn't know it existed. Crocodile chiropractor, and haunted house structural engineer, which is nice. And rocket fuel taste tester, which is also awesome. And underwater electrician, which is always good. Okay, awesome. Volcano lifeguard, yeah, okay. So this is the, so you have like lots of stuff here in the directory, and you can search, and you have like a chat, and you can log in and like create an account as a candidate, an employee, and all that stuff. This is how it looks like. You have, let me just do this. You have like all the libs, like it's an monorepo with like the app and buildable libs and all that greatness and stuff. But I wanted to just take like one component, like the messages, the chat component, and just create a test for it, just to showcase a glimpse. Okay, again, I'll either do a different talk or just share in my mailing list more explanation and stuff like that. So let's create like the first. You see what I did there? I saved time. So let's go over it. So I'm importing from Vitest browser Angular, which gives me extra ability to my test function. Given the user is not authenticated, then the component should show the failure message. So now I can inject a mount function, which lets me mount the component, and I can, because it's using activated route, I can just say, hey, with routing, true. And it just works. And I get the component, I get by text the failed to load messages, and I expect it to be visible. Very simple test. Let's run it and see how it goes. Okay, so I think I have here, yeah. So this is the command. It's not important, but what's more important is that it loads, and you see the fail to load messages, and the test is passing. Okay, I'm not authenticated. But what's fun about the UI component testing with the fake server and database and all that stuff is that your tests could look like this. Okay, so I want an authenticated state test, so I can do this, and it's shouting because I added more fixtures in this file, which gives me the ability to see the fake database and to log in as a user and stuff like that. So let me just change it to this inside of the monorepo fixtures file, which comes from here. Now the errors are gone. So now, given that the user is authenticated, then the component should show the number of conversations. So here I have a seed fake database function, which I can just tell it, hey, generate 6 conversations. That's it. Didn't need to mock the post HTTP request and all that stuff. And log in as a candidate. That's it. And now we can, mount the component, get by text the messages 6, and see if it works. So let's save, and boom, the test. This is the speed of. Okay. I have 20 more minutes. No, it's the end. It's the end. Okay. So you see 6 messages, okay, and it just loaded like this, instant. Okay, and this is like a whole monorepo with all the stuff and all that, great. So just to prove, if I change this to 3 and this to 3, okay, and save, okay, now it's 3, okay, instant, okay, and just like, okay, it created 3 fake things behind the scenes using Faker and all that stuff. So that's just a simple demo to show you like inspiration of how things could look like in better times. Okay, this one. Okay, so this is for UI component test. It didn't fail like I expected. I expected it to fail. I forgot to show you this GIF, okay? But yeah. Okay, so if you want to be the first to know, I had like an old website, testangular.com, with the courses. They are outdated. I removed them. I have nothing to sell you, okay? I have a registration for a mailing list if you want to get updated on more stuff, educational content that I will upload, and to explain how I did all these things further. You can sign up. We'll talk about Playwright, Vitest, mock service worker, and all that stuff. I might be doing like sessions and stuff like that as well. Awesome. So the key takeaway from all of this is that AI makes us way more efficient, but our job is to make it way more effective. Okay, and that we have, and then we'll have the Holy Grail. Okay, one last one. Want to hear a joke about paper? Never mind, it's terrible. Thank you very much.